All right, I think we can get started. Joel, what do you think?
Yeah, let's get started.
All right, give me 2 seconds. All righty. So thank you so much for joining our retailer roundtable brought you by Creoate. Just to let you know, we are streaming live on Facebook and recording this webinar for future use. Your images are not going to be shown. It's usually just a presentation, so don't worry about it, but just to make you aware. So welcome, everybody. We're very happy to have you. This is our second webinar in our series celebrating Creoate Month. Now, some of you might be asking, what is Creoate Month? Well, it so happens that 2 years ago, Creoate was founded, and rather than celebrating the day, we're celebrating the month. My name is Will. I am the CMO of Creoate. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to this, the second webinar, where we'll have another webinar coming soon this week. I encourage you to go check out our first webinar. First, I would like to, unfortunately, some pretty basic house rules. Please use the chat respectfully. Mute yourself throughout the webinar. If you have any questions, don't worry about it. You can actually post them on the chat and we'll get to them at the end of the webinar. And most importantly of all, please enjoy the webinar. We have a great panel of retailers that are going to share their stories, and hopefully it brings a lot of great exposure and experiences. So why don't we get started? So what is Creoate? For those of you that are new to Creoate, we are a platform that seeks to empower and connect wholesalers and independent retailers. So we connect both sides of the equation for a creator or a wholesaler to connect with independent retailers, whether you have an online store or whether you sell on Instagram or whether you have a corner store. We actually empower you to actually make those meaningful connections, get a wide variety of products. And I am going to take off my marketing hat now because that's not what this webinar is about. I would like to introduce to you our host for this evening, Joel.
Thank you so much, Will. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm João. I work at Creoate here in the marketing team. And before we get started, I just wanted to go through the agenda for today, for the next hour. So we'll begin with some short intros from our inspirational panel of independent retailers. We have 4 of them here joining us today. And it'll be great to just hear a little bit about them to start off. Then we're going to cover a few trends and themes that we're noticing in the broad retail sector. So starting off talking about the future of digital retail, how online and the explosion of online has changed retail, how this explosion has then shifted customer behaviors and how we need to adapt to those shifts. After that, we're going to uncover some lessons from online marketplaces like Creoate and how you can apply those lessons to your physical store. Then we're going to dive deep into why hybrid shopping experiences is the future, and mainly 2 lessons that we can learn from online and apply now in your physical store, right? In the past, it was when we were forced during the pandemic to go online, we were forced to bring lessons from the physical retail ecosystem to online. And now it's the other way around, learning from these past 2 years and enhancing our physical shopping experiences. So to start off, Heather, why don't you tell us a little bit about the gold trout?
Sure. The gold trout has been around now for about 10 years. It is kind of soup to nuts, like we have a little bit of everything. So, it's in its physical form, it is more of like a mercantile. And then online, we serve all sorts of different customers. Our mission is primarily on, maintaining sustainable products for the storefront. There are certain exceptions to that, but, for the most part, that's our overarching like mission statement. Yeah, and I'm just really excited to have a conversation with some other retailers in Creoate and get started.
Thank you so much. That's great. Thanks. Yeah, Aisha, if you could introduce El Cambio Lógico.
Perfect. So we are a Barcelona-based business, actually a small family business, also in the sustainable space. We call ourselves a zero waste shop. We sell all kinds of articles for personal care, cleaning, just household products that are all more sustainable options and don't include any plastic. And we've had our retail shop open since 2018, and now we've seen like a huge jump in our business since the pandemic. Actually, we didn't have the traditional downfall that most businesses saw during this time, so we were able to include more references, and actually Creoate helped with a lot of that because we're able to find more brands to include in our shop. And yeah, it's a little overview.
Amazing, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Carrie, Sarah, if you could please introduce Haberdashery. Who?
I'm Carrie. Me and Sarah co-own Haberdashery in Leighton Buzzard. We've got a physical store and an online presence. And basically what we try to bring to our town is little bits of happy. So lots of little things you don't normally get on the high street, which are from lots of independents, mainly in the UK, but sometimes further afield. And we try to go with a lot of sustainable goods as well as local makers.
Thank you so much. And last but definitely not least, Kim, if you could please introduce the Black Orchid.
Hi, yeah, I'm Kim. We're based in the Highlands in the north of Scotland, so happy Burns Night to everybody. We established an online bricks and mortar in 2012. We have now moved to our third premises, so we're now about 6 times the size of our original shop. And then with the pandemic, we were kind of forced our hand to go onto online as well. Our main focus really, and I'm a great believer in sustaining the high street. We were the best high street in the UK winner 3 years ago before the pandemic hit. And I'm really focused on the community and the aspects that a high street can build within a community. So that's really our focus. And that kind of, we try to bring that in our online business too. So we try and introduce different products from small independent businesses as much as possible and push and promote them through all our social media channels and grow everyone's businesses together and create that community through the independent businesses as well as our local one.
Amazing, thank you so much for that. Now I'm gonna introduce you to one of our colleagues who is gonna start talking about the future of digital retail. So please, Lottie, if you could take the stage.
Hi everyone. Yes, my name's Lottie. I'm an account manager here at Creoate, and yeah, it was great to hear from some of the retailers today. And as Zhao says, I'm now going to run through a bit about digital expansion, the changing consumer habits, and the rise of online marketplaces such as ourselves here at Creoate. As we all know, the retail industry has been drastically reshaped over recent years, driven by a changing social and economic landscape. Retailers have been forced to adapt and innovate in order to survive. Increasingly, digital technologies have fueled this transformation as customer adoption of technology increases, and with it, their expectations. Customers are now leading the way, becoming more savvy, and challenging retailers to keep up with the ways in which they want to shop and interact. To maintain relevance, retailers will need to be able to quickly adapt their operating models while striking a balance between driving revenue and building trust in their brands. which Pilu will speak about a little bit later. Retailers are not only facing significant challenges due to rising costs, cut price competitors, and the speed of which innovation is taking place, but most recently and most obviously the pandemic. They've had to rely heavily on technology to navigate the challenges of the past couple of years, and will ideally need to combine both online and offline channels, in order to remain competitive. As we've got on the slides here, one very prominent example in the high street would be Zara, who plans to cut 1,200 stores over the next 2 years and invest over $2 billion in digital store solution. Another example would be Lululemon, who have introduced the BOPIS model, which is buy online, pick up in store, which has proved speed and ease for its customers. And on top of this has resulted in good upsell in store. The brand reported 20% of shoppers who chose to pick up their orders in store made an additional purchase when they came to collect their products. So it seems to be bridging the gap between the traditional bricks and mortar and online shopping experiences. Revenue from BOPIS sales was already up an average of 35% during the 2019 holiday season, and the pandemic has accelerated its growth even further. Despite the growing popularity of online shopping, bricks and mortar stores have still retained their main advantage, customers being able to try out products before buying them. But as shopping increasingly moves online, brands are striving to offer a holistic user experience on their digital channels too. If we could change the slide now, Joe, as well. Thank you. So moving more into the consumer side, it won't come as a surprise to any of you that customers have also changed their purchasing behaviours as a result of the pandemic. COVID has impacted how consumers go about discovering and comparing products online, seeking shop assistance and expectations of after-sales support, which Pilu will touch upon later again. Availability, convenience, and value are the strongest drivers of new brand purchases. Consumers are also increasingly concerned about the environmental impact of products they buy, as we've heard as well earlier, with a big focus being on sustainability. Surprisingly, we have seen some shifts in brand loyalty, and during the pandemic, it was actually reported that 40% of consumers switched brands. This is something that we must take note of and to make sure the shopping experience for customers is as seamless as possible, so there's no risk of this happening, and they continue to obviously support their existing local businesses. This leads me onto the rise of online marketplaces. So if you could switch the slide, Jan, thank you. So such as ourselves here at Creoate, Etsy and eBay as some other examples. These types of marketplaces have exploded in recent years. It's clear that customers want options and convenience more than ever before. Some of the benefits which you can see here, we've got better product discovery, convenience in comparing prices and products from a single source, more favourable supplier terms. We've got exposure to international brands, simplified shipping and logistics, ordering from multiple different brands in a single checkout, exposure to a much bigger audience that you might not be able to reach on your own, as well as discovering fantastic independent brands that you may have a much harder time finding otherwise. On the wholesale side specifically, digital is proving to provide a much more streamlined solution in comparison to traditional methods, such as trade shows that are proving to be incredibly costly. And as well as this, there's much greater scale and volume opportunities on top of this. I think, Zhao, you are now going to introduce one of our retailers to speak a bit further.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Lottie. Thank you so much for just setting the context for the discussion now. I'd love to welcome two of our panelists to just discuss the silver lining that exists in this explosion of online commerce and the learnings that we can take from it. So please, Aisha, if you could begin, just talk about how the silver lining has helped El Cambio Lógico until now.
Absolutely. So the retail landscape in Spain is a bit different probably than a lot of you know in the UK. That is very, very much focused on actual retail stores. Most people go to buy things in the shop. And what happened during the pandemic is the majority of shops don't have online presences at all. And they had to rush to try to build something online during that time to be able to serve customers. As a business that we already had our online platform built, we were able to benefit from this because people were already coming to us looking for products online, and they knew and they could trust us, everything that we had. And we were able to use platforms like Creoate to be able to find other brands that people were looking for and try more things when our online shop started to boom more than usual. And actually, we were experiencing sales that were close to what we had during Christmas time. Christmas and Three Kings is very important here. And we had sales that were even larger than that. So it was a point where we needed also to be able to try new brands. What we had been doing in the past was through distributors. Maybe we try 4 or 5 of each kind of product that we had, and then we'd see if it works or not. But this platform really helped us a lot because we were able to try larger quantities of a product where you didn't have to stick with the stock if it wasn't selling for us. We were able to have the payments after 60 days. And so a lot of these benefits that you're not usually able to get from a small business, we were really, really able to take advantage of them at this point and help to propel our online shop to grow even more.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, great to hear how things have changed and helped you grow. And I think that's the whole theme of the conversation here. And that's a great segue also to have Heather, if you could please join us and talk about how did these lessons help so far the gold trout improve? I believe we can just come back a couple of slides and you can talk about.
Yeah, so I'm actually based in New York State, so pretty far from everyone else here on the panel. But one thing that we noticed during the pandemic in particular was that our customers who were local and coming to our storefront, because we did have the online presence, we were able to just get them to transition to purchasing from our store online. So some of that could sort of like look and mimic a buy online and pick up in store. But in our case, we were delivering. So just to give you an example, I personally drove over 700 miles the day before Christmas in 2020. Making sure that all of our packages got delivered to our customers. So I think that sort of, we lean into the service piece and kind of the thing that ties the whole conversation today together, being about expectations and like brand and everything like that. But the marketplaces, I think, have really, in the same way that like our individual customers' experiences online have shifted, so have retailers' experiences. Like I haven't personally been to a gift show. I haven't been to the Javits Center since 2016. So we're really looking to not have to invest that time and energy into discovery. And I think that the marketplaces just really facilitate that. And, we've had a great relationship with Creoate and look forward to continuing it.
Absolutely. Fantastic relationship, and hope with everyone watching, we can just help you guys expand, find the best products, find the most unique products, because this is what it's all about, isn't it? Absolutely. Thank you so much, Heather. Now we'll move on to our colleague Pilu, who will talk about this new hybrid shopping future and the specific elements that we should learn from to apply to physical stores. So over to you, Pilu.
Thank you, João. Thank you, everyone, up until now. So as briefly touched upon by João, I'm going to look and talk to you guys about the lessons in hybrid that we've learned in hybrid shopping experiences and giveaways that we have gotten from our customers. And I think, yeah, the main focus and the main takeaway that we've got is that during the pandemic, kind of there was a very big shift, you know, as has been mentioned by some of our retailers, from the physical present, like going to shops, figuring out, you know, what you want to buy, touching, feeling, to shifting that entire experience online. So what retailers had to do is kind of try and mimic that experience of in-person shopping and sort of do that online to make the transition as smooth as possible to sort of replicate that experience for the end customer, so that they didn't feel lost, so to say. However, after the kind of the height of the pandemic was over, we sort of started seeing that people were going back into stores. The consumer behavior shifted a bit from online. People wanted to be, you know, meet people, see people, and we saw that they were going back to the stores, which kind of made us shift again and change the way we work and shop and everything back to that kind of hybrid experience. So where we are now is basically we have to take away what we have learned from the online consumer and the online behaviors and kind of mimic that in the in-shop physical experiences. So we're kind of like switching around again. And what we've learned from our customers is that they want a more hybrid experience. So they, you know, want to be able to see things online, but they also want to be able to see them in store. So I am going to focus on the two main takeaways that we got from our community, which are online convenience and brand trust. So I'm going to go and do a little deep dive into both of them. I'm going to start with the online convenience, and later on I'll talk about brand trust as well. Yeah, João, thanks for shifting already. So yeah, how can we mimic this online convenience in our retail shops? So there are three main points that we have sort of highlighted and noticed that are quite important. So I'm going to go a bit more into detail in each one of them. So the first one is what we've realized is that by shopping online, customers get a very specific and quick sort of personalized experience, right? So when you go online, you've got access to very effective chatbots. You have curated personal shopping experiences. You get emails that are based on your previous purchases, such as like things we think you might like, things we think you might love. And so it's very much tailored to what you have maybe purchased in the past or based on other things that you've searched in the past. And so how can we mimic these types of experiences in store, right? If you go into a shop, you kind of want to feel like, I guess you're maybe a bit special, and that, you know, the shop, the owner or whoever is working in the shop can kind of help you out and, you know, find that perfect piece for you. So what we have seen is that you can mimic this by being extremely customer centric, being very helpful. Maybe, you know, if you have a database of your clients and you can see like, okay, you know, in the past they've bought this and that, like, I think, you know, this would work very well for them. Offer in-person personal shopping, things like that, just to really, you know, make the customer feel at ease and yeah, guide them through their entire experience in store. The second thing is, I think that's something that's very common, and it's definitely something that has just grown and is just getting faster and faster and easier as time goes by, and that's payment options. So what we've seen is the rise of Klarna as the buy now, pay later, which is extremely popular online. If I go on a shop where I go more often, they tend to have my credit card details saved. If I have my personal account, they have, you know, they know exactly where to ship it to. I've got my favorite locations. You know, I can opt for a quick checkout. I can have it shipped to my home. I can pick it up somewhere. So these are things that are extremely convenient. And I think like if as a retailer, you want to kind of mimic that, you can, you know, maybe there's now the option of, for example, doing Klarna in shop where you can split payments. If that is something that you can do, I think what is very important is to be extremely transparent towards your customer and be extremely customer centric, and just say like, listen, you know, we only take card payments, we only take cash payments, or maybe, you know, you have their details saved in your system, and you can just very quickly send them a receipt, or send them some emails if you do email marketing based on you know, what type of options they pick. And I think the final point is also something that I think during the pandemic has increased a lot, which is returns. You know, people were buying online a lot. And I think with that came kind of the expectation that they can, you know, buy something and then ship it back if it doesn't fit. So it's kind of like being in store, but you do it from the convenience of your home, which obviously has a big impact. So I think, yeah, it's online. If you buy online, it's extremely simple and it's extremely straightforward. Your return process, you know, you've got your information in the system. You just click on a button. It's like, doesn't fit. Why doesn't it fit? Whatever. And then they pick it up, or you drop it off at your post office that's close by, and you return it, and the payment comes into your account. You know, I wouldn't say the same day, but within a couple of days. To sort of try and, you know, make that journey as easy as possible for your consumers, for your customers in store. You know, if you don't have the possibility to offer, you know, straight away returns, or, you know, be able to pay them within 2 days or 3 days, it might take a bit longer. I think what's very important is to be extremely open about it and be very transparent and say, listen, you know, we may not be able to pay you straight away, but I can give you credit. You know, or maybe you say, well, you know, we can't do this in 2 days, but you can either return it and exchange it for something else, or we, you know, we'll pay you back in cash, or we can pay you back, whatever it is that you offer. Just be very clear about it and very open, so that the consumer is aware of what they're getting into before they make that purchase. And I think that also is something that we'll touch upon later, talking about brand transparency and just being very open about what you can offer. And yeah, Joa, in the next slide, I think that kind of like encapsulates everything, is that research shows that 68% of consumers make their impulse purchases in physical stores. So if you yeah, I think make the experience very nice and very like interesting, and kind of offer all of these different types of amenities that people are used to online, I think people will obviously come to your stores, and they will make, you know, those purchases, whether that's online or in store. But if they manage to come in and you know, everything is kind of lined up properly, that's definitely a data set that is very important to keep in mind.
Absolutely, thank you, Pila. Exactly, it's that's the whole reason for learning about online convenience and learning how you can apply it to your physical stores, is to make sure that you're leveraging this data point that Pila just shared, that to leverage and to catalyze the impulse purchases that customers can make in your physical store. Thank you so much. So on that note, before we dive into brand trust and our discussion around brand transparency, I'd love to welcome a couple of our panelists to just talk about a few of these points that we mentioned earlier. So please, Sarah, Carrie, if you'd like to talk about how online convenience, how mimicking online convenience in your physical stores has helped Happy Dasheries so far, and also share some challenges that you overcame and maybe some goals that you have for the near future.
We found, that like with our customers, they like to come in, but they also like really using the online side of things as well. With the so they're checking out like using the free click and collect, using free local delivery. They're using the buying online to make sure they can actually spread the payments as well, which is something that's actually really picked up. And it's not just because of COVID, I think. I think it's the thing of like, obviously COVID has actually changed things. People aren't necessarily wanting to browse for hours on end in shops, but people are starting to come out a lot more, whereas you can actually look online in the comfort of your own home. You can actually check things out, but we are still finding that people aren't actually making those purchases until they've actually come in and actually then checked it out and physically seen it. They're making sure that they can actually touch the things that we've actually got in store, actually making sure that actually it really is what they want. So it's yeah, we're really finding that we've got this mix of people actually shopping in store with us and people shopping online, and that's even if they live in the same town. So I don't know if Carrie's still on the call and whether she wants to jump in as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think where we used to be solely at our online store as well as the physical shop, but mainly people would come in and shop in store. We'd still get some orders online, but due to the pandemic, when they were forced to actually shop with us online, we'd find that our sales increased as we were shut. But as soon as we reopened, those people that were buying because they had no other option then put things into baskets. They'd already checked what they did and then would come in and physically touch them and say, yeah, actually, that's exactly what I wanted. And I think actually a few of our really good customers have actually said actually being able to pay by PayPal or Klarna has really enabled them before Christmas to make larger purchases either online and do click and collect. And then when they're clicking and collecting, just adding to their purchases. So we found a real change in the last year or so.
Absolutely. It's very, yeah, these tools are incredibly empowering. No, please, Sarah, please.
Sorry, yeah, I'm jumping in again. Yeah, we're just really finding that actually that was a real silver lining to COVID, is that actually we've always had the website before the physical store, but actually it was a bit neglected at times. But now actually it's not just customers across the country that we're getting that are buying online. We're really getting that hybrid shopping experience from people who are local to us.
Fantastic. No, thank you for those insights. And Kim, could you speak a little bit about how you've been leveraging online convenience at Black Orchid?
Yeah, so we offer the click and collect service, and we also offer, like, try and do a lot of sort of lives through Instagram and Facebook and use the social media to kind of promote new products in store. When we do run that kind of promotion, we try and link it in store with doing a store setup as you walk in. So what you've seen on social media or what our star buy that's been promoted on our website, when you walk into our physical store, that's one of the first things that kind of meet you. So we're trying to kind of align both. And then with that product, that's our star buy or our display, we then try and upsell around it. So we've kind of got similar products or products that would go well together. So for example, we've got a vase on display. We might have some artificial pampas beside it and trying to cross sell, the same as what we would do through the website. If you went to buy a product, it would say related products or what goes well together. So by kind of mirroring that, people that are seeing these products through social media and the website and then coming into the shop, they're seeing sort of brand consistency and product consistency across it. And they're making it easy for them to pick up what they've seen online. So that's definitely been a good point for us, is to have that kind of crossover where, like, the brand is consistent across all channels.
Amazing. Yeah, consistency is the key, absolutely, especially to leverage this hybrid approach. Heather, Aisha, would you like to share your experiences briefly before we move on to brand trust?
We similarly had a big boost in our online sales because of the pandemic as well. We had an online shop before, but mostly our sales were in the physical store, and really the pandemic helped to build our online store and to make us focus on it more. So that was a huge jump for us, and we do the same thing. We have click and collect as well here. The majority of our customers were just in Barcelona at that time, and now we had been able to reach people more in Madrid and other parts of Spain as well. So we were able to really benefit a lot from this kind of double dual hybrid model of shopping after this point.
Amazing. No, thank you for that. Fantastic. Now just continuing with Peter, who's going to talk a bit about brand trust and the importance of upholding it in today's world.
Yes, thank you, João. I'll briefly talk about this. I think most of our retailers have already touched on some of the points that I'm going to highlight in this particular part of the presentation. But I think the overall kind of feel is that you know, having a hybrid experience, having that online presence, but also having that physical store presence, is how do you make sure that your customers return to you and they come back, and how do you convey that to the end consumer, right? So I think upholding brand trust through online shopping solutions is I think quite easier than it is in person. But the real question is, how can we convey this trust to the sort of hybrid experience and in the physical shopping experience? So I think one of the most important aspects is transparency about your brand, about who you are and what you stand for, and to be consistent through all your channels. So whatever people see on your physical, or have seen your physical shop, for example, have the same type of messaging, have the same type of vibe, feel on your online presence, right? And vice versa. So like you've mentioned before, a couple of you, is, you know, consumers, your customers, they go online, they see a product and they're like, oh, this looks quite nice, this looks interesting, but they're not entirely sure, right? So that then they go to your store and they see it and they're like, this is exactly what I wanted, this is what I had in mind. There is no hidden things, or it's not like doesn't look much nicer online than it does in store. This is exactly what I was looking for, and this is what I had in mind. So I think having that consistency and everything, things to be aligned, I think that's very important. So for example, you know, if you're focused on sustainability, you're focused on sustainable products, make sure that this is highlighted, that your consumers know that that is what your brand stands for, whether that is, you know, online by, you know, having maybe a little text or something introducing the products that you sell, right? Or like a particular brand that you're selling, and why are you selling them, and why do they belong in your store? And you can do this as well in shop by, for example, leaving little notes, maybe highlighting, like little tags highlighting the brand, or giving a little bit of a backstory about the type of products that you're selling, and engaging your customers in that way. I think another aspect is kind of going back onto the payments and the refunds and the shipping. So we all know we're not all Amazons. Not everyone can do what they promise, and no one can do what they can do, but everyone can kind of offer a certain aspect of it. And I think what's really important is to kind of stick to what you promise. So whether you say, you know, I can ship within a week, then, you know, make sure that you actually do, and that you stick to that. You can offer refunds, then, you know, I think making sure that those refunds they come through and they actually happen is very important. As just as the Golden Trout mentioned before, is really going that extra mile for the customers, driving 700 miles a day before Christmas just to make sure that everyone gets their parcels. I think that is something that really makes you stand out and really gives that extra touch of loyalty, so to say. And yeah, I think just overall make sure that the personal shopping experience kind of reflects your brand's ethos, and really, yeah, conveys that message of who you are and what you stand for, and what it is that you're trying to sell. So yeah, that's my part. So thank you, João.
Thank you, Pilu. Amazing. And now off to our amazing panel to talk about this such an important topic. And then nowadays, we know with more competition, the more important it is to uphold your brand promises, right? So Heather, would you like to start the panel off with just a bit about what do you see the importance of brand trust being for the goat trout?
Yeah, one of the things I think that hasn't been mentioned, because some people have talked about Amazon. I think the more that retailers can do in this environment to provide like a personal, like human connection to the brand, it's really important. Amazon is never going to call you if there's a problem with someone's order. Like they would actually prefer that you called them instead of just like, oh, you're an anonymous person on the other end of this online transaction. But it's not, for them, it's not necessarily about like, well, I ordered this widget and it was delivered, 2 days later. People shop at small stores online because they value small stores online, whether that's in Barcelona or the Scottish Highlands, which I really want to go to visit. People appreciate that personal service. So a handwritten note, a phone call, establish that human connection with people when you're out there working with them. And I mean, I'm sure that many of you already do that, but it's for us, people will just tell us like, we really appreciate just hearing from you. It's because certainly we know there's been issues with supply chains right and left throughout the last couple of years, and sometimes that leads to problems with orders. So people do like to hear from you. Yeah, and I think I didn't speak to the couple of the other things, but I think most everyone else here has covered the topic. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Heather. Oh, we'll have some time right after this to share what other topics you'd like to share with the community. No, but absolutely. I think those are very underappreciated acts and such small efforts that make a huge difference and compound over time, right? Thank you. And Aisha, could you speak a little bit about brand trust and El Cambio Lógico and the importance that has for you?
Absolutely. So for us, it was very, very important. Actually, it's what our business was founded on, because the reason why we opened a retail shop was because all of the sustainable products that we were finding in Spain were only in Amazon and in other online shops. And we didn't have the opportunity to talk to somebody. And when you're choosing the products like we have that require a bit of explanation and it's making different life changes, you can't just read something online and get to know it very well. So the most important part of our shop was myself and my husband being there and being able to explain the changes that we went through personally, why we selected certain products. And the majority of our customers return because they know that we personally use these products. We selected them. We have the experience. We try them before we bring them into the market. And they have an extra barrier that has already been surpassed that they don't have to go through themselves. So, and from that, they can use our online shop as well to get all that extra information. And we put extra care into putting how you care for the product, how you, if you need to recycle it at the end, and the whole lifestyle of the product, and all the important information that you could get from us verbally as well. In the start, we tried to put it online, but nothing can really beat the experience of being able to talk to the customer in person. And I think that's something that helped our store to survive at a point when other shops were closing. A lot of the ones that did close were other online shops or very, very small businesses, and ones that didn't have such a strong ethos behind their brand, didn't really make it that far.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sarah, would you like to share a bit about your thoughts?
Yeah, I think for us, it's that whole thing of, yeah, we most definitely aren't Amazon and we could never compete with them. So it's kind of how we go that extra mile to actually make us different from them, even though we're trying to bridge that gap between having the high street store and actually the online website. We wanted to make sure that actually our online customers were having just as much of a shopping experience as the people who came into the shop. So it's trying to make sure that when they're shopping online, that we still offer the gift wrapping. We personalise the cards to send out to their loved ones. So even though they can't necessarily come into the shop and buy the card and then write the card, we can do that for them. It's just kind of making anybody coming, whether they're coming into the shop or whether they're actually shopping with us online, making sure we've got that kind of in-store experience where they're not just a nameless customer online. It's kind of that whole thing of you're still having that conversation with them and making sure that yeah, they're seeing the value in what they're buying and they're buying into your brand and buying into the service that you actually provide, which is, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And Kim, what is the importance of brand trust for the Black Orchid, and how do you uphold it?
So for us, I suppose it's being as transparent as possible. If somebody doesn't like something, they can return it, whether it's online or in store. No quibble kind of policy that we offer. Also as well, I think it's really important that whether it's online or in store, and I think everyone's kind of touched on it, is the fact that it's not order number 214 that's came in. It's Mrs. Gill from Bury St Edmunds that's placed an order, and you're kind of like dealing with a person and not a number or a value. And that's the same in store. And that's, for me, one of the predominant differences between a small business is that level of service. Amazon get an abundance of orders in every day, and they're just firing through them through a warehouse and out the other side. And with us and small businesses, like, you know, Heather said, it's writing that handwritten note to pop it in and say thank you so much for our order. We kind of try and encourage to get free samples of some of the products we offer, to pop them in with orders so customers can try them and have the same samples available in store. So it is really just about kind of making sure that everyone knows that every single order is actually really appreciated. You know, it does count for us. It's not a mass produced business. It's every order is handled with care, and it's really appreciated through our doors, whether it's online or in a physical presence.
Absolutely. Yeah, brand trust is the same in both elements, and yeah, 100%. So thank you so much for sharing. We are running close to the end. So I just wanted to, first of all, before we head to the outro, just thank you so much to our panelists for taking the time, for sharing your journeys, your stories. We know how much each of these businesses mean to you. And please, for our audience, if you'd like to reach out to one of the panelists, please, just the details are in this slide. Please check out their websites. You'll find amazing, unique products that you're very rarely going to find elsewhere. So yeah, thank you very much. So now just off to Will.
Thank you so much, Joel, and thank you so much to every panelist. Wow, what a webinar, to be honest. That was fantastic. So much insight. Thank you for sharing. I think we are a community at heart, and I think at the end of the day, our founders actually started this company because they were in your shoes and they saw the need for us to help one another and to support one another. So we are going to do more of these webinars, more of these sessions as the year progresses, with different topics and different insights. But a big round of applause, and again, thank you so much to each and every one of you. Fantastic webinar. I've actually learned stuff, so I'm very, very happy. I'm going to put my marketing hat back on because we have some fantastic offers to celebrate our Creoate month. This is something that is going to help each and every one of you guys. If you are a member, an existing member of Creoate, You get 20% off any order if you place it in January, so only a few days left. But additionally, you will get 10% off on your next 2 orders. Just use the Creoate 20 code at checkout. On top of that, if you're watching this event online and you're not a member of Creoate, you can use code Creoate25 and get 25% off any order on Creoate. It's a one-time offer and it's only for new members. And then the best for last. We call this the Take 200 Pounds Off campaign. Internally, we call it something different. But basically, if you spend 400 pounds, we give you 200 pounds off. Very simple. I know people tell me I'm crazy when, when I'm doing this, but just make sure that you use it by the end of January. Any order that you place, it's a one-time offer, but you place an order, and as long as it's 400 or above, we automatically take 200 pounds off the price of the order. So thank you so much again to each and every one of you. A big round of applause also to our internal team for making this happen, Joao, Pilu, and Loti. It has been a pleasure to be with you guys. And I hope this has been helpful and entertaining and enlightening. Joao, do you want to do a couple of, do we have any questions so far?
No, I think if we are out of time for any questions, but if we gather from the chats, we can answer them individually.
Absolutely. So please, we will send out a copy of these slides after the webinar is over, maybe tomorrow. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you're connecting from. And we're here for you if you guys need anything. Thank you.